Hello, everyone, and welcome to our today's session. We are so happy to greet you all today with us. Thank you so much for preparing yourself for this session and for allowing the time to be with us today. My name is Alina. I'm an Education USA advisor, and I represent Education USA Regional. So as you know, we are covering 11 countries within Eastern Europe and Central Asia, and we are providing monthly webinars which help our undergraduate students and postgraduate students to prepare for their application process for their studies in the US. And this month, we have already held 2 webinars on the pre-departure orientation, and this one is our last one for the pre-departure orientation. And we tried to share the perspective of 3 sides. One of them was with the students, which we held last Tuesday. Another one was this Tuesday with our regional advisor. And the third one is going to be with 2 US institutions. So we have here Zach, and also we have Stephanie with us today. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us today, and thank you so much for preparing the presentation. I will just give you the floor so you can introduce yourself, and then we can just move to the presentation that you have prepared.
Hi, everyone. My name is Zach. I am the Assistant Director of Global Outreach for the University of South Alabama. I help give information to prospective students about studying in the United States. So both undergraduate and graduate students, I give information about scholarships, campus life, and life at the university.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Holleran. I'm the Director of International Admissions and Student Services at the University of Houston Clear Lake. And my office does a combination of what Zach does in recruiting students and preparing you all for coming, as well as supporting you when you're here with your immigration questions as well. So welcome.
Thank you both. Thank you. Okay, then we'll move to the presentation. But before that, I would recommend to all of you who are now with us live to submit your questions in the chat. We will do the presentation, and then we can just move to the Q&A session. Some of them have been addressed in advance, so we'll also try to cover mostly all of them. And yes, also answering your question, it's a big priority for us. Thank you once more. And I'm just giving you the floor, Zach and Stephanie.
So again, everyone, hello, my name is Zach. I am the Assistant Director of Global Outreach. So I work for the University of South Alabama. We give information to students about studying at the university, studying in the United States. And so we can go ahead and start our presentation. First off, I would like to thank Education USA. Education USA is a great resource for students, but it's also a great resource for universities as well. We help give information, like in these webinars, to students who are interested. So I'd like to say thank you, of course. But of course, preparing for your departure, you can think about all the things that are necessary for coming to the United States before you arrive. So of course, make sure you have your travel arrangements, make sure you have your flights. If you need a car, if you need any kind of transportation to your university, make sure you have that made in advance before you arrive to the United States. According to your program, right, you may not enter the United States more than 30 days prior to the start of your program, whether that's your I-20 or your DS 2019. Education USA offers in-person or virtual pre-departure orientations similar to this one. So whether that's in your country, whether that's virtual, there are different pre-departure orientation sessions where you can learn about more information for your pre-arrival, before your pre-departure, things like that. Oftentimes, your universities, your institutions, if you're in a community college, oftentimes those institutions also do offer pre-departure orientations as well. So you could attend the ones from Education USA. You could also attend the ones from your institution as well. You do need your necessary documents for your arrival. So everyone in the United States passes through a U.S. Customs and Border Protection agent. So you'll need, of course, all of your passport information, your certificate of eligibility, whether that's your I-20, your DS 2019. You'll need those documents. If you have any kind of contact information of your international student advisor on campus, you'll need all that information just in case, just to be prepared when you pass through that agent. And then once you arrive to the United States, you can report to your school. You can join your on-campus orientation. Oftentimes they tell you about the university, they tell you more about their policies, they tell you about all the things that you'll need while you're at the university. And you can meet your DSO, your designated school officer, and you can kind of get the process going of really being on campus and starting your studies. So when you're in the United States, right, you're in a new life, in a new culture, new campus, new classroom. It may be different from how things are back home in your home institution, your home country. So with that comes the idea of culture shock. There will be a normal part of culture shock in everyone's life who comes to the United States. It is a different way of communicating. It is a different way of interacting, a different language sometimes. So things can be different. Just know that you are not alone. Culture shock happens to everyone. It happens to people in the United States who travel to other countries. It happens to other people who travel to the United States. So there are different instances where you may feel out of place. You may feel some different change in the culture, but just know that is temporary and that is very normal for students, right? Another thing for undergraduate education, higher education in the United States, it can be flexible. So specifically with undergraduate studies, there are many options to change your major. So speaking personally, I started as a English major, teaching English. I decided that I didn't like it. It was not for me. So I decided to change to Spanish. I enjoyed that so much more. So it is possible to be flexible in your studies in that you can change like your program title, you can change your program major, right? Some of your institutions may offer things like living on campus or on-campus housing. That is always a great idea. It's a great option for students. You can be connected. You could be very close to campus. So it's very convenient in many ways for you living on campus, studying on campus as well. So I always recommend living on campus is a great option if you do have that option. In the classroom, of course, be ready to engage in discussions, ask questions, sometimes even debating your fellow students during lectures. Something in the United States, we like to have a very participatory style of learning. So not only will you have interactions with your professor, sometimes you may have interactions with your fellow students. You may have a discussion, a group discussion. You may even have some type of debates as well. So it may be different than the previous style of learning from your former institution, from your former place of learning. So it just may be different. So get ready for a small culture shock in a way. And then, of course, your professors, oftentimes there is an expectation of students to actively participate. Maybe in some instances, some professors have a lecture, some professors have the discussion aspect where they encourage students to ask questions, to kind of have a conversation more about the learning. One thing as well in the United States, professors have times designated to students to visit with students after the classroom session is over. So maybe, let's say your classroom with the professor is in the morning, maybe in the afternoon, you have something called office hours, where the professor is present in their office, available to ask questions to students, to discuss any assignments or any previous grading that has been done in the classroom. One thing that's very important is critical thinking, right? So sometimes the answers are not always straightforward. It may not be a multiple choice question and answer on your tests. It may not be true, false. There may be an aspect of more open-ended questions. So the idea of critical thinking, thinking about the answer, kind of thinking about more reasons, that can be helpful in your studies as well. Another point, group work is common along with individual assignments. So of course you will have your own individual assignments as a student, but sometimes you may be placed in groups or in pairs in your classrooms. So you can work together as a team, you can work with a partner to kind of come up and share information, but still provide your own input as a student. And then sometimes you're allowed to present that information, maybe let's say at the end of a project with your partners and with your group to the classroom. And then in the United States, academic integrity is serious. It's very serious. So we have policies, our universities, our community colleges, our institutions, we do have policies specifically for things like cheating, things like plagiarism. So we always want to show our own work in our classrooms. We never want to copy any work. We never want to take information that was said somewhere else and claim it as our own. We always want to take ownership and do our own work, so that way we're not taking credit for someone else's work. That's very serious in the United States. And then, of course, we think about some do's and some don'ts for undergraduate students, right? We do want you to organize, right? We want you to keep track of your assignments, your schedule, your deadlines. In university and college and higher education, oftentimes we might be more busy than we were in high school. So the same planning system that you may have used in high school, it may not be the same for university, for college. So we just want you to be very organized, so that way you can keep track of your assignments, keep track of your events, any type of planning that can help you be the best student overall. We do not want you to procrastinate, right? So oftentimes when we procrastinate, we get behind in our classwork and our homework. It can affect your grades, your academic performance. It could put you potentially in probation, right? So the sooner we can start an assignment, the better. Oftentimes when we start an assignment later, the quality is not as good as if we started it in the correct time of when we should have started it. Another option, of course, is to use our campus resource. So oftentimes on campuses, on university campuses, on community college campuses, whatever your education campus is, there are different resources available to you, oftentimes for free. So oftentimes they have things like writing centers. So if for some of your classes, you are required to write a paper, but you're not familiar, maybe you have questions, oftentimes those writing centers can help you write the papers. They don't always write the papers for you, right? But they can help you with tips, with tricks, with kind of some guidelines and some advice to help you write. Of course, there are librarians. Librarians can help you find books, sources, resources as well. There are academic tutors. There are study groups available. So there are many, many different resources available for you as a student. We do want you to take advantage of those. Oftentimes, we do have an international student support service member, sometimes an international student advisor. So those people can help you get in touch and get connected with the right resource that you're looking for on campus. Something that we don't want you to do is to expect to know all the materials. So once you enter a classroom, once you enter the subject, if you think that you know the subject, that's great. But there could be some information that you don't always know, something that you could learn new from your professor, from the course. So we do want you to study, right? It may be differently than how it was in high school. In high school, you may have been able to just absorb all the information from the professor. Maybe you didn't have much homework, right? But now in university, in college, in whatever your institution is, we want you to review the material. We want you to prepare for discussions. We want you to read ahead, keep up with all the information that's in your course. Something we do want you to do is to explore your campus, right? So explore your campus, kind of walk around. You could take a tour of your campus. You could see all the different academic buildings. You could see all the different departments. You could join clubs, participate in different campus activities. Something we don't want you to do is to stay in your room and do nothing, right? If we stay in our rooms, if we are not active on campus, we don't always make the most of our time on campus. So by joining clubs, making friends, exploring more of our campus. We can learn more about ourselves. We can learn more about the university, and we can maybe even have some friends, have some fun that we would not have had before if we just stayed inside all day. And so life on campus can be fun, right? We can have our academics. We can also have the fun on campus as well. So both kind of go hand in hand as to living in a new space. So on my campus, the University of South Alabama, we do have a campus recreation center. So you can think about your physical wellness. You can think about your emotional wellness, your academic wellness as well. A part of that wellness is taking care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally. So you could maybe run at our track. It's an indoor track as well. You could maybe do some exercises in our gym. We do have a pool. We do have an indoor and an outdoor pool as well. I mentioned before that you should, if you want to, you could live on campus. It's a great option. I recommend it for students. You can live on campus by yourself or with a roommate. We have different options available. Of course, there are different resources. We have lots of hands-on activities in our studies. So sometimes if you're in, depending on your academic department, we do have hands-on research programs, hands-on research activities, lots of special projects for you. And so this picture here in the middle is for our nursing students. They are working with robotic simulations. And so these robots simulate a real patient. And so these nurses can get hands-on training to further their academic studies. And then here's some more life on campus. We do have, of course, all those options of our research, our projects. Some of our professors, they're very involved with the students. And so any questions that the students have, any issues, the professors are willing to listen, to kind of work with the students as well. We do have things like our intramural sports. So students can have sports on campus, things like volleyball, basketball. We have biking trails. You can eat on campus as well in our cafeteria. So there's lots of options to have a great life on campus if you choose.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So I'm going to talk a little bit about U.S. graduate education. Some of the things are similar to what Zach was mentioning for undergraduate students. So just a little first week success checklist. Before leaving home, obviously you're going to need to obtain your visa, whether it's F1 or J1. Arranging housing. I know we do have a lot of questions about housing. So for graduate students, some universities may have graduate or family housing available on campus. At my university, most of our graduate students do live off campus in the apartments surrounding our campus. And I do know that they find those types of housing either by connecting with each other before arriving, or using different search engines like apartments.com, or simply searching apartments near the campus on Google and looking for them that way. Some campuses may have an off-campus housing office that can help you find housing that suits your needs as well. Again, prepare your travel documents. You want to make sure that you have your I-20 or your DS 2019 and your passport. You could also bring a copy of your acceptance letter with you in your carry-on baggage. You want to make sure you do not check your passport and I-20 or DS 2019 in your checked baggage, because that will cause a delay at the airport when entering the United States. Set up your finances. You want to make sure that you're having a good amount of cash in US dollars before you leave your home country and come to the United States. So that can either help you pay your tuition in cash if you're not able to set up finances quickly before your tuition payment deadline, or just having money available for housing and food and different things like that as well. So after you arrive, many of you will have to do what's called an international student check-in with your international student office. Many schools require orientation for international students. You'll get your student ID. Your university can help you set up a bank account. Purchasing a phone plan. Many students actually end up doing this before they leave, and we can put a link in the chat to one such company that does ship you a SIM card to your home, and then you can set that up and have a U.S. phone number ready to go before you even come to the United States. And then when you come in, you want to meet with your academic or faculty advisor, depending on how your university is set up, and make sure that you're registered for classes. And in some cases, you can actually do this before you arrive in the United States. You don't have to wait till you get here. Okay, next. So here's just a few pictures of my University of Houston Clear Lake. We're a smaller university located in just outside of Houston, so we're not in the city. But there's, we have a big nature on campus. There's lots of places for students to gather. And then also I just included a picture of our shuttles. So many universities have transportation that goes around the campus itself, as well as sometimes nearby places off campus that can help you travel around the area while you get settled. Next. Okay, and Zach did cover a little bit about cultural shock. Here's some more details about what you might be going through. So typically stage 1 for culture shock, you're really enthusiastic, you're excited to study abroad and meet new people. And that can last for a while, or immediately when you get here, you can go into stage 2, which is sometimes considered frustrated with the language barriers, the different academic expectations that are here in the United States, and just navigating an unfamiliar system and country and cultural norms. So these are all normal things that students go through. When I studied abroad, I also went through culture shock in the country that I went to. But eventually things should get better, especially if you find a routine for yourself and start, engaging on campus. Step 3, you start to develop those routines. You're building confidence being here in the United States. You're starting to understand the cultural norms. And depending on where you are in the United States, those cultural norms may differ from being in the South versus being in the Northeast versus being on the West Coast. The United States is very big, and every area of the United States may have different things that you'll have to get used to. And then step 4, adaptation. Hopefully you'll start feeling comfortable and being independent in the United States. You'll start having those strong social and academic connections, and you're thriving here. Just remember that this is normal, and most students will move through each of these stages at different speeds, and just being aware of the resources, that you have on campus. So what makes U.S. graduate education different? In the U.S., you're expected to be highly independent and self-directed, especially for graduate education. The faculty expect students to ask questions and seek help. Your participation and discussion are encouraged both in class and with faculty outside of class as well. Zach did talk about the critical thinking is valued over memorization in the United States. Depending on your program, it may be very heavily into reading and writing papers, or if you're in some of the science fields, very STEM focused and research focused as well. So there's not a lot of memorizing and sending that information back. You have to really think and develop thoughts and ideas. And again, time management is essential as well. Many graduate programs, their classes are maybe at nighttime to accommodate U.S. working adults who might be in your program as well. And so that may mean you might have all day to do your coursework or get a job on campus, or if you're a research assistant or a graduate assistant, being able to have those types of that time to focus on your work plus also your schoolwork. And in the United States, asking questions is often viewed as an engagement and a positive in taking initiative. It's not a sign of weakness to ask questions that are, thoughtful and engaging, so that you can better understand the material, as well as just talking to faculty and your peers in your classes. And yes. Okay. So faculty relationships. So especially in graduate education in the United States, that relationship with your faculty is very important. So just at some universities, there may be an academic advisor and a faculty advisor. At the University of Houston Clear Lake, for our graduate students, we have both. And an academic advisor is a professional advisor who can help you make sure that you're meeting the requirements to graduate and following the plan. A faculty advisor can really help you customize your plan of study and to help make sure that it meets your professional and research goals. We talked about office hours. They're designated times for students to meet with professors. Attending office hours is definitely encouraged. You don't need to be struggling academically to visit with a professor, and they can be used to discuss coursework, your research interests, career goals, or any other graduate school success strategies. When you're meeting with faculty, before the meeting, you need to make sure that you prepare your notes and emails. You have specific questions you want to ask faculty and bring any relevant materials that you would like to discuss. Faculty really appreciate students who arrive ready for the conversation. So for example, instead of saying, I don't understand the assignment, you can say, I've completed these sections, but I'm struggling with this research method. Can you help me understand the next step? So instead of being more broad, have a specific question that you can help them as well. The other important thing is communicating professionally by email. You want to make sure you use a polite greeting. You can say Professor, for example, if I was a professor, you could say Professor Holleran or Dr. Holleran, even if you don't know if some faculty may not have a doctorate when you're talking with them, or they might prefer that you call them by their first name. But to start off with, just saying professor and their name or doctor and their name is the best way to do that as well. If you're using AI to help draft your emails, just remember to proofread and edit that. Okay, next. So here's some samples of classrooms and a lab at UHCL. The one on the top right is actually my alma mater, Binghamton University in New York. I wanted to show a larger lecture hall. Some universities have larger lecture halls, and we have smaller ones at the University of Houston Clear Lake. So for academic integrity and student success, so plagiarism is a big thing in the United States. Zach did talk about that at the undergraduate level. Plagiarism is the act of using another person's words or ideas and presenting it as your own without giving proper credit. So that is important to understand the citation expectations that your university has and making sure that you understand the academic integrity policies on your campus. Collaboration is when you're working together to share ideas and explain concepts versus cheating, which is when one person does all the work and others simply copy it. So those are different things that your campuses will be looking at as well. AI, you would definitely want to talk with your campus about what their AI use policy is. But typically you can use it to help as a supplemental tutor or a brainstorm assistant rather than a replacement for your original thought. Some academic support offices on campus may include a writing center that can help you get used to writing professional and academic documents in the United States. The Academic Success Center and tutoring resources can help with tutoring and study habits. Library has a lot of research support on campuses typically, and there may also be specific graduate student support programs on your campus as well. Next. On campus, there's also a lot of support for professional development. We have career services that can help with professional networking and creating events on campus. There's LinkedIn and professional branding support, making sure that your LinkedIn shows what you're doing in the United States, but also being careful with what you're putting on there in terms of immigration stuff that may come up in the future. Some schools have graduate student specific organizations that you can join. You also have opportunities to publish and go to conferences with faculty, and many universities have teaching and research and graduate assistantships that are available on their campus. As another part of being healthy and happy in the United States and getting through that culture shock is keeping an eye on your health and wellness. Many universities have campus recreation that is included in your tuition and fees. So if you're already an active person, if you do yoga or you run or you do other types of things, make sure you do that same stuff here in the United States. So that way you still have build a healthy routine. Health insurance, many schools require that for international students. Other things on campus is they have health centers, counseling and psychological services that can help with stress management as well. So definitely using all of those campus resources that are available to you. Next. Oh, here's another picture of some of the University of Houston Clear Lake. Again, we also have an indoor track and a picture of our dorms. And then our mascot, Hunter the Hawk, over there sitting in our library, as well as there may be events on your campus that you can join throughout the year where you can engage with all students and staff. And especially if you're bringing your family, typically you can bring your family to some events on campus as well. And just some more things that are happening on campus is even as a graduate student, it's, you're focused on your professional and your career goals with your major. But we definitely want to still get involved with some student organizations. There may be cultural and international clubs that are specific to your country or just as an international student in general that you can join. There's definitely ways to get involved as leaders on campus and volunteer opportunities that your campus may be offering as well. I do also want to mention, I didn't put it on these slides, but the other resource on your campus is the International Student Services Office. They're there to help you with the immigration compliance and helping you adjust to the United States. So definitely, if you have questions about your status in the United States, those are the go-to people for asking those questions. And the benefits of getting involved on campus is that you build friendships, you can network and meet peers in your program of study or even outside of your program of study, improve your communication skills, and it just makes it a little bit easier to be here and be so far away from home. Here's a little bit of activities on campus and just getting involved. The top right is the University of Houston, because my university we don't have sports, but definitely going to see some American sports games might be a really cool cultural experience for you all to attend. And of course, the end goal is to graduate and get your degree and go on to do great things. The first month success plan, again, attend all orientations, meet your faculty and academic advisor early, learn about all the resources, connect with the other students from all over the world, ask questions when you're unsure. And for me, the most important thing is establishing a healthy routine so you can get acclimated to the United States. And just remember that you belong here. Ask for help early and often. Education in the U.S. values curiosity, initiative, collaboration, and critical thinking. And your transition to the U.S. is a process. It's not a test that you're going to pass or fail. It is what it is. So you're going to do great.
Okay. Thank you so much, Stephanie and Zach. Really appreciate the presentation. And I'm more than sure that everyone who's with us now, they are really looking forward to the Q&A session on all the, they are definitely expecting the answer to their questions. So we have a few of those questions in the chat. We can answer those, and then we can move to those that we've got before the start of this session. So one of the first question was, could you please tell me how long it takes to change from an F2 visa to an F1 visa? I'm not sure if both of you can answer to this one. I'm more than sure that the consular section can answer, or if you can do that. Yes, Stephanie.
I think so. If you're changing from F2 to F1 while inside the United States, I think right now can average anywhere between 6 to 9 months. As an F2, you can attend school part-time, university part-time, and while you wait to change to an F1. But I would say that change of status right now is taking a minimum of 6 months, I would think. So.
Okay. Zach, you wanted to add something here, or we can move to the next one?
I think Stephanie got it.
Great. Thank you. Then the next question again about visa. My visa and DS 2019 program end date are both July 30, 2027, next year. Am I allowed to remain in the US for an additional 30 days under the J1 grace period? Could it cause any issues when leaving?
Currently, that is correct. You can leave. You can stay 30 days after your program end date in the grace period. It shouldn't cause any issues leaving as long as you're leaving within the grace period that's allotted.
Okay, good. Then we move to the questions that we've got before the live from the students that have registered for this event. So one of the questions was what documents to prepare for U.S. board control when you arrive or departure to U.S. Just wanted to quick add here that we had this Tuesday a session, again, a pre-departure orientation with our advisors, and there we have listed the list of all the documents you need to prepare when you are arriving. Maybe something from Zach and Stephanie about the departure, yes, if the students go back to their home country maybe, or something additional they need to know.
I could take it.
To
prepare. So when you arrive, you definitely want to make sure you have your valid passport. And make sure that it's, valid for at least 6 months into the future. And then we should have your visa already stamped inside. And then your I-20 or DS 2019 to enter the United States. Other things we recommend, but it's not like the port of entry, a CBP officer, a Customs and Border Patrol. They will basically just ask for your I-20 and your passport. You can keep your acceptance letter and other documents to show that you're accepted or financial documents, but you don't have to present those unless you were asked. And when you depart the United States, you really don't need to show anything except your passport to get through the airport. So,
and it doesn't hurt.
And what about the I-20? Do you need it?
Not to depart, to re-enter the United States, you do.
And it doesn't hurt to have the contact information of your program advisor. If you have an international student services advisor on campus, if you have someone in international student programming, if you have their contact information, just in case, it doesn't hurt to have that either.
Thank you. Okay, the next question. What advice would you give to international professionals preparing for a professional internship in the United States?
So I can speak from the F1 student perspective.
Okay.
Typically for F1 students, if you're coming into the United States, you're not able to do an internship until you've been in F1 status for 1 academic year. So say you're entering this fall, you would potentially be eligible starting in summer of 2027 to do an internship. However, there is some programs that may require you do an internship right away. As a graduate student, you could do that. As an undergraduate student, you would have to wait the full year. So it's definitely very specific to your campus. So definitely, I would talk to the International Student Office about their policies on internships to find out more. I would also definitely connect with career services on your campus to help update your resume to the US style. And they can also help you with interview tips and practice with you. So that way you can get comfortable with interviews. And attending your campuses like career service fairs and internship fairs to find an internship. And also faculty can also help you. They may have connections in their industry local to your school that can help you get connected with a potential internship during your studies. So that would be my advice for that.
I think students could maybe research their companies before their internship starts. So maybe researching the company, researching the culture. If your company requires a specific attire, maybe like formal business wear, you could research that. You could research kind of how the culture is at the company that you're working for, whether it's more laid back, whether it's more kind of in a business setting. So I think doing those things kind of helps you be more prepared. It makes you maybe feel less unprepared than before you start the internship. Like go through the campus resources, the career center, they can help you give a lot of tips as well.
Thank you. Another question, different than those we had for visa. It's about health insurance. How does student health insurance program applies for sponsored students?
So I can talk from my campus perspective. However, I would
Mhm.
definitely reach out to your campus to find out how this would work for them. But at the University of Houston Clear Lake, if you are a sponsored student and your sponsorship scholarship gives you health insurance, there is a process to waive the health insurance on our campus. So every international student at UH Clear Lake automatically is enrolled in health insurance. And if you're coming with a scholarship that has it, you have to go through the process to waive it off of your bill. That is probably how it works at most schools, but I would definitely research your institution specifically.
At the University of South Alabama, ours is the exact same.
Great, thank you. The next question. My husband and I both won scholarships. We are both experienced doctors and teach at Astana Medical University. Can we share a room in a dorm so we don't have to rent an apartment? What is the perspective of your institutions?
So my institution would not allow that. But I would say some institutions may have graduate housing or family housing available that I would look into.
And in my university, we don't offer the family housing. So there are off-campus housing available in apartments. And I know in the question, it says that they don't want to rent an apartment, but because we don't offer family housing, there are very close options off campus that are apartments that are available. So.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Hi, I'm Sabina and I'm from Kyrgyzstan. My questions are, both of your universities are located in regions with strong industries. Could you share what internship or undergraduate research opportunities are available for international students?
Sure, I could go. So I am
Yes.
in Houston, Texas, and we have the Houston Medical Center. So a lot of our students who are in healthcare administration will get internships in a lot of the hospitals in the Houston area. We also have big nursing program where students can do their clinicals and get jobs in the nursing in the area. And we also have internships with a lot of engineering and oil and gas companies that undergraduate students get to go to. And also work very close to NASA, the space, like where mission control is for the astronauts. That is a little bit harder for international students to intern with because they typically require US citizenship, but there are other aerospace types of opportunities in the Houston area as well. And as well as research in biology and biotechnology is another big area in Houston.
And my university is the University of South Alabama. It is located in the city of Mobile in the state of Alabama. Mobile is Alabama's third largest city. It's in the southernmost point in the state. And so it faces the Gulf of Mexico. So we are Alabama's major port city. So we have access to like international trade, shipping, different industries there. There is an Airbus airplane factory located in Mobile as well. There is a shipbuilding company as well where they build ships and submarines. We do have some engineering firms in the cities as well with some like steel plants as well as some chemical plants also. So there are options for those industries. And we also have 3 hospitals with our university system, our health system. So there's different options, whether it be engineering, whether it is kind of more business like shipping, logistics, supply chain management, and healthcare as well. So there are different options for industries.
Okay, that's impressive for both of the institutions. Thank you. Okay, the next question. What separates students who succeed from those who struggle in graduate school? What skills should I develop before starting my master's program? How much time do graduate students typically spend on studying, I suppose? Stephanie?
I would say someone who is not, again, not afraid to ask questions and get the support that you need when you're here, especially if you're struggling with, all the reading that you may have to do or all the papers you have to write. Like starting early before you have a problem and getting that support, I think is something that would help someone succeed. Skills to develop before you start, I think. Writing papers is, in English would be a way to practice. You could practice writing an academic paper or literary criticism or something. I don't know. And yeah, that's what I would suggest. And someone who asks for help before they need help is what will make you succeed in graduate school.
Something
And
that
the
I
last
could,
part,
oh,
sorry.
it's
Yeah,
good.
about the time. Sorry about that. Yes, just to finish with Stephanie, how much time do graduate students typically spend on? I don't. Did I miss that? Did you specify that?
I did not. I think it varies on what program you're doing, I think. But definitely like the reading and the writing papers per class, I don't know exactly, but maybe 3 hours or 4 hours per credit unit that you might have to spend reading and writing and researching and stuff. So.
Thank you. Zach, please.
Something I learned from my undergraduate studies is to form groups with students in your classroom. So it's helpful to make friends. And oftentimes we create like group messages or like group chats where oftentimes we ask each other about the assignments, we ask each other about the readings, and sometimes we have like in-person study sessions so we can kind of learn from information from each other. That can also apply to your graduate school studies as well.
Okay, thank you. The next question again about housing. Maybe you have some more instructions and life hacks in searching for housing. Okay, so you shared them in the chat.
Yeah.
We'll make sure to also share them with students.
So
yes.
My life hack for looking for housing is whenever I'm thinking of moving, the first place I look is apartments.com, and you can type in the 5-digit zip code of where your school is, and it can set a perimeter, and that can help you find housing. You can set how much you want to spend per month, if you want 1 bedroom or 2 bedrooms, and it can it gives you a brief overview of different apartments that are nearby. Also just using Google to look on the Google map, and you can kind of see where your university is versus how far away that apartment is. And some universities may list apartments on their website, some may not. And some universities may have an off-campus housing office. We don't, but I know others may have help that can help support you in finding housing. There may also be university-sponsored off-campus housing and apartments as well that you can connect with.
At my university, we do offer like traditional on-campus housing of like not an apartment style. So rather than like having a kitchen and a living room, you could have just a bedroom and a bathroom. But we do offer the apartment style. So if you wish to have the living room, the kitchen, we do offer both options that are considered on campus for our students. Oftentimes, upperclassmen or graduate students, they tend to choose the apartment style, but some are available for freshman students as well. So even if you do want the apartment style, but you still want to live close or on campus, oftentimes in some institutions, not every institution, but some of those do offer those different options of housing on campus.
Thank you. The next question, what are the most important things students should do before leaving for the US, and what can wait until after they arrive? And the second part is, how much money do students realistically need for their first month? So we can go first with Stephanie and then with Zach.
Sure. And the important things to do before leaving is definitely pack, like learn what the weather and the climate is of where the university you're going to is, because what you'll need in Houston, in Texas, and Alabama is very different from what you'll need in the state of Washington or New York or Maine or Boston, Massachusetts, wherever. So, or even the middle of the United States, if you're going to Wisconsin or Minnesota, definitely look at where you're going because it may be really cold or it may be very hot, and preparing what you want to bring with you as well. What can wait till after you arrive is you can buy an umbrella when you get here. You don't need to pack that. And I think other things that can wait is just, bringing books and supplies. So, and making sure that when you get here, you have your housing and you have a place to stay and bedding. And definitely, I would also maybe pack some snacks that are allowed through this U.S. Border Patrol. That can, if you're arriving late at night, many international flights arrive not later at night when stores may be closed. So having some snacks and food that can get you through to the next day. Realistically, during your first month, you may need to pay your tuition and also housing and food. You probably need like at least $1,500 to $2,000, I would say, US dollars. And you want to make sure you have that with you or have a way to get it once you're here, and do an exchange either in the airport or have it already before in your home country. You might get a better exchange rate at your in home before you get here. So, yeah.
I think before leaving the US, of course, have your planning of your travel arrangements, how you're arriving to the United States. I think you should have your housing set up before you arrive to the United States. Those things are the definite things. I think the things that can wait are like the more shopping things, like Stephanie mentioned. You can buy your umbrella, you can buy your bedding, you can buy all of the kind of supplemental things afterwards. Like my university, we offer a shuttle to different grocery stores, to different like shopping stores. So on Saturdays, we do offer that transportation that's free for students. So you can buy all the things you need for your dorm. You can buy your bedding, you can buy your bath materials, your bathroom, like your shower robe, everything like that. I think that can be done after you get to the university. But the most important thing is how you arrive, when you arrive, things like that. The money question, I think most university campuses can offer like an ATM on campus. So if you're ever like short of money, you can always have the option of using the ATM. You want to make sure that your card will be available to be used. So like talk with your bank, make sure your bank knows that you'll be using your card during those months. So I think having that and then having the ATM as maybe a backup is important as well.
Thank you. The next question, and I saw the same question in the chat. We were just about to put that on the screen. As an international graduate student moving to the US with my spouse and two young children, what advice would you give to help our family adjust successfully during the first few weeks?
I think looking for different support systems. So like at my university, we have a group that is not affiliated with the university, but they work very closely with our international students. It is called Friends of Internationals. And so oftentimes we can provide really any type of support for those families, for those students. We have different social events. Oftentimes they host dinners, they host different activities. And so students are invited to bring their families to those events. They're invited to participate in any way that they can. Oftentimes the group will stay with the family from when they start the university up until graduation, and they become great friends and a great resource to those students. So I think reaching out to not only your different city resources, but your different university resources as well, and just finding more information as best as you can.
Yeah. The one thing I would add is if your children are school aged, finding where you're going to enroll them in elementary school or primary school, and figuring that out. And if you need childcare, if your spouse is, either doing their own thing or whatever, if they're not doing the childcare, finding childcare, but definitely also looking at the schools and enrolling them in school if they are school age. So.
And when enrolling them in school, can university advise something on this matter, or usually the parents are taking care
Usually not, but someone in the International Student Services Office may know what and be able to point you in the right direction on how to do that in the local area.
That's a good point. Thank you so much. The second part of the question, I suppose, from the same person was, what are the most common mistakes new international students make before and after arriving in the US, and how can I avoid them? So you already said about taking so many things which you don't really need and you can buy them on site. What about something else? I don't know. Maybe what about booking, or not booking, but finding the place where to stay, the housing too late, or not finding it? Because I think actually Zach mentioned that you need to have the housing before coming.
Yes. Oftentimes when you think about your housing, it is cheaper to like for my university, we offer a housing option for students that is early. So we have like an early housing option before our term starts. Those rates and those fees for the early housing might be less expensive than a hotel. So if you think about how much a hotel costs in the United States, it could be hundreds of dollars that add up, day by day by day, depending on where you are, depending on where the hotel is located. Oftentimes, if you think about like on-campus housing or even like an apartment, that might be cheaper than if you were to arrive here, not have any housing, and have to get a hotel, which can be very expensive as the fees add more and more and more. So that's, I think, a big mistake that could be expensive.
And outside of housing, I think a common, maybe not quite a mistake, but a misunderstanding is like when registering for classes and knowing which classes you're going to take your first semester, and understanding the drop deadlines and refunds and all of that. So being from looking at the cost of attendance web page on your school site and understanding all those things, like if you were switching classes, what fees are associated with that. And just knowing how to pay your tuition on time, I think, is something that some students may struggle with, because it's just unfamiliar and new. So,
thank you. Okay, the next question: is July not too late to book an apartment on campus?
I think it depends on the campus. Like if you were coming to University of Houston Clear Lake, you would have no problem getting on-campus housing or on-campus apartment. But I think some universities may already have stuff filled, especially for undergraduate students. So it depends. But for an off-campus apartment, it wouldn't be too late in most cases. So, but on campus, it might be. I would reach out to this school.
Yeah, I would reach out to the school. Our university has different deadlines for applying to housing. And so if you were looking for something on campus by July, it may already be filled, just because like most undergraduate students, they want to live on campus, or even graduate students as well. And so that can fill up easily. Oftentimes our deadlines for housing on campus, specifically on campus, can be earlier in the year. So maybe sometimes waiting till July could be too late in some cases.
Okay, thank you. Another question: is it possible to join research communities and being a member of research group? Does your institution have something like that? For exchange scholars. Here is a specification on that.
I don't believe we have something like that.
I suppose maybe having them like online, maybe there are some research group for specific institutions, or maybe peers, or maybe alumni, maybe some current students, which can help some new students. There might be, but that's the part of the students' research, I suppose.
I think ours would not be like an official title group from the
Right.
university or university sponsored, but I think oftentimes within each academic department, there are groups of students who form their own kind of research um, groups, maybe, but just not affiliated with like the university. Um, they're not created by a university, they're created by the students instead.
Okay, thank you. Another question about visa. What documents should international J1 students and their J2 dependents prepare before traveling to the United States? Stephanie, do you have something to add here?
It would be your passport, the visa, and your DS 2019s that you'll need to enter to the US. And again, just make sure you put it in your carry-on luggage, do not check it under the plane. That's really what you would need.
Yeah, great. The next question, what important things need to be done in the first 1-2 weeks after visiting the USA? What is the easiest way to open a bank account, get a SIM card, and solve other household problems? So we already gave you some tips on the SIM card. What about the bank account? So maybe if you could, both of you can specify something here.
Yeah. So many banks, it's a common misconception that you would need like a US Social Security number to open a bank account, but as an international student, you don't at many banks. So many banks will simply take your passport, visa, your I-20, your DS 2019, and then the I-94, which is a document that you get after you enter the United States that shows your name, your status, and how long you can stay in the United States. And they can help open like a student account that has very low fees in most cases. In some universities, during orientation for international students, may have several banks on campus to help you, and you can choose which bank to use. Most universities won't tell you that you have to use this bank, but the account openers at the banks, typically in the area around your campus, are probably familiar with helping international students open up a bank account. But the things that you'll definitely need is proof of where you're living. So like an address, either whether it's your campus address or your off-campus apartment, like a lease or like an electric bill, I-20, DS 2019, passport, visa, and your I-94, and then they can help you open a bank account. So that's the easiest way to do that.
We both mentioned having like an in-person, the on-campus orientations. Oftentimes, a lot of this is covered in those orientations. So sometimes your international student program officer, whoever is working in your international student services, they can kind of go over this information with you once you get to the university. So that's oftentimes covered. They kind of give you tips, maybe some local advice for like where your university is located and how it's done with most students.
Thank you. A question in the chat. My research internship will take place in winter. My children will be with me. I would like to ask if they can go to school during this time. I suppose that was vacation, or my research internship will take place in winter. My children will be with me.
Just thinking about the schedule in the United States, oftentimes our school schedule stops in early December. We usually close for like winter and Christmas break. So as long as the time is not in like the end of December, I think that school would be open, school would be in session.
Yeah, I think it would depend on whatever where the school and if they can enroll and how long the internship will be. I think will also depend. So.
Okay, thank you. The next question, are there any legal or lease restrictions on how many people can live in an off-campus apartment? For example, can more than 4 people live in a 2-bedroom apartment?
That probably varies on the lease and the apartment complex. There typically are restrictions on how many people can live in an off-campus apartment. and that would be stipulated by that apartment complex. So.
Okay.
There would be
And the last
information
one in the
lease, yeah.
chat, can I sign? Okay, thank you. Can I sign a lease before arriving in the US if I only have my passport and F1 visa as an incoming international master's student?
Yes, I think you can sign a lease before entering the US, but you may have a higher security deposit if you're not already here in the US or able to provide proof of your income or employment or how much money you have. So I think that would also depend on the leasing company. But yes, you could legally sign a lease before entering the US, but I think it would depend on the management company of the apartment.
Okay, great. So I think we're done with all the questions. Thank you so much for answering all of them and for covering all of them, both Zach and Stephanie. I really appreciate, and I really hope we answered and we covered all the questions the students that were with us live had. And in case if someone will watch afterwards, they can also leave the questions in the comments for this video. Otherwise, you can reach us or do a consultation with us. We would gladly help you. Thank you once more for your expertise and for your time today, for doing such a great presentation. And good luck to all those who are preparing for their departure to the United States. You did a great, great job. We are so proud of you. And enjoy your time, enjoy your academic year. I'm more than sure you'll have such an awesome experience. We are here to help in case if you'll still have some questions when you get there. So yes, success there. Thank you, Stephanie and Zach, once more. And I wish everyone else a great, great evening.